Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Tuesday, or as my wife calls it, TikTok Tuesday or TED Talk Tuesday. Again. I'm Matt, and joined always with Neal Tardy, and he's laughing because it's the first he's heard that, but he knows it's true in his soul. Am I right?
I do, and I'm laughing at the fact that there's no way in hell that either of us could host a TED Talk.
We could if it was like just like your neighborhood drunk and his name's Ted. Like, it'd be like, hey, we got some technology. Like, that would just be kind of, look at my iPhone, and it's just a rock, that's like slightly shaped like an iPhone. Oh gosh. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. Always appreciate that. Every Tuesday at 7, we're here live. I'd love for you to join us and hop on with us if you ever want. Be sure to leave your questions, comments, your comments. I think that's a mixture of questions or comments, or comments. Yeah, below. And I guess with that, we'll go ahead and get started. And we'll start with a Google story.
That's right. So as you guys know, if you've been watching us for a while, Matt and I have been keeping our eyes on both Google Stadia and Amazon Luna. We demoed Luna, I think it was last week, actually. Just to kind of give you guys an idea of what that looks like. Google has a very similar interface going on with it. And it says that it has 400 games in the pipeline, which is the big thing, is the big drawback for me with Luna right now. So they announced that they have over 400 games by 200 different developers in the pipeline, which I think is absolutely insane. This also includes 50 unreleased games. So these are new games that are going to be coming out. So that's pretty cool. So they're going to be on top of the new games that are coming out, which is really important to be able to keep that player base up. It's just, they're saying that this is really showing Google's long-term commitment to the platform, which I 100% agree. Like, if you're going to continue to add things, it continues to make it more and more of an option for people like myself who maybe don't want to buy a console right away. Or I think the thing that Matt and I were talking about after the stream yesterday, after the review of the Luna, was we really want it to be seamless to be able to play with other people or our friends, and that's something that is currently missing on Luna. I haven't looked into Stadia enough to know how they're doing there, but if they can nail that, that's like the biggest thing after the games that is keeping me from picking it up. So This is really, really cool. I hope that they continue to add content. It even says that they're going to have exclusive content on here. Google's looking pretty formidable to Amazon here right now.
Yes, single person games are great, right? But you're right. When we can crack through and make that multiplayer experience just as seamless and just as capable of bouncing around from device to device and from location to location or whatnot, I think that's gaming in a way that we literally have never seen before, right? So I think that'll be fascinating. One of the cool things I've seen in Amazon Luna that they're now toying with is titles from I think, is it Ubisoft? I think that like, who does the Assassin's Creed?
Ubisoft, yeah.
Yeah. So you can subscribe. So you're subscribing to Luna, and I assume you do the same thing with Stadia, right? So you get access to kind of a base layer, right? A base layer of games or whatnot. But you could subscribe to like a premium kind of channel on a per provider basis. So like Ubisoft Plus or something like that. I can't remember. I think that's what it's called. And that gives you access to everything like the new Assassin's Creed, like Valhalla and stuff like that is on there now and ready to play. So I think that's really cool to see. It's being embraced even by these developers and stuff. And I don't know. I think this is big. This is a big deal. I'm glad. I'm like you. Google does seem to be kind of putting their money where their mouth is on this. And I think everybody will win because of it, no matter how it turns out.
Yeah, for all of you that are thinking, yeah, right, how long are they actually have a roadmap for? The article says 2023. So, that's 3 years of planning. to get this thing, continue to get it off the ground, continue to add to it. So I mean, that's a pretty big deal if they're saying, hey, we have plans through this time period.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Our next story bounces around kind of to the arch nemesis, so to speak. We have Apple. But this is actually a pretty positive story, Neal. You and I have talked a lot about how we kind of are riding the fence a little bit with this whole Apple Epic thing and their 30% kind of app store fees, and how, it really kind of kills the smaller developers, right? Like it really, that's who's getting eaten alive. Again, not to say that it doesn't affect larger. I mean, because it's, that's a huge chunk. But with smaller indie shops or whatnot, you're already paying to be even on the platform, and then slugging through 15%, 30%. Well, so Apple has come out and said, hey, look, if you're making less than $1 million revenues, which I would think is most, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot.
Right, because you think about it, it's like anything, right? There's probably some, like, the 1%, right, that actually of the quantity of developers out there that are in a shop that's making more than $1 million in yearly revenues. But so they're dropping the App Store fees down to 15%. I think this is huge. I think this is a good concession, and of course, you can't help but notice that it's right on the heels of regulatory attention. And obviously the ongoing, case and litigation, I guess, between, Epic and, I mean, everybody's involved, right? Everybody's got an opinion on this thing now. So I don't know. The reason why they do it, it's one of those things where it's like, does the why discount the what? I say no, that's fine. It's okay if it's out of survival, so to speak, that they're doing this. It's still the right thing, and so I'm glad to see this.
Yeah, I think this to me, I think the first thing that I said when you sent me this article and I read this article was like Apple's admitting defeat a bit here and basically just trying to say, okay, well, we're okay with this much, so let's see if everybody's okay with this much. And yeah, I mean, it just feels a little like, I mean, if you're just looking at it with the increased scrutiny, like you're talking about, people calling it unfair, to then come out with this stuff, it's just kind of like, okay, so it is, and you're just trying to make sure that everyone else is like, you're trying to like almost find that line of like, when are people going to say it's okay? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it's weird that it's just for the small businesses as well. I think you're still going to have large businesses be pretty pissed about the 30% commission that they're taking. And I mean, $1 million is a lot of money. Like if you think about how much money apps actually make, like particularly like paid apps where it could just be like $1, that's 1 million downloads. That's a lot of downloads if that's the only way that your app is making money. And I'm not saying that all apps, that's the only way they make money, but I mean, it's how a lot of apps make money. So yeah, this just feels kind of weird. I do like how there will be no change to their developer program though. So you will still get they're not going to say, okay, well, you're in our small business tier, so you're not going to get as prominent of things on the App Store. I do like that. If they did make that change, I think people would be even more frustrated about this.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, is it a step in the right direction? Yes. Does it also feel like Apple's trying to figure out where the line is? 100%. But I mean, small steps, and hopefully we get to the point where Apple's fairly compensated for what they do for developers, and developers don't feel like they're getting screwed out of their hard work. So yeah. It's a balancing act. I don't think that we're quite there, but this definitely is a step in the right direction. So
yeah. Taking a step backwards actually is the kind of our next story, and I always love anything where I see Flash animation.
That's right. So this is a really interesting thing because Matt and I have talked about on the podcast. Wow. I guess this could be considered a podcast.
I think we'll take that. Yeah.
But, the show rather, about the death of Flash and how Flash is going away at the end of 2020. So that's coming up very rapidly. For those of you keeping score at home. Yes, Matt, with the fist pump. But yeah, so with that, a lot of people were very concerned about losing some of the internet history and early internet culture that was basically 100% built on the Flash platform. Well, the good news is that the Internet Archive, and if you haven't heard of them, you may have heard something called the Wayback Machine, which allows you to go see old websites or old versions of websites before they were updated or removed from the internet. So if you are looking for something that may not be on the internet anymore, the Wayback Machine is your ticket to that. But they're basically running an emulator that is going to preserve a lot of this stuff, if not all of it, which I think is really, really cool, because I think it's really important for us to remember, and maybe this is just a tech person talking in me, but the early stages of the internet and just like some of the early meme culture that before they were even memes. But yeah, I love to see this. I'm glad that we're going to be able to go back and look at peanut butter jelly time and things like that. Like, I think that's great, and I'm really happy that we're doing that. So
yeah, it makes me think of Strong Bad and what was that whole website? Gosh, it's been long enough now where I've forgotten it. Do you remember that? Like, they had it was dedicated. I mean, it was all Flash stuff, and they were like whipping out content like crazy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember what it is. So.
Well, even Jib Jab, right? Like that whole kind of concept kind of started there, and then graduated, so to speak, into kind of like the more modern HTML5 stuff. But yeah, I mean, so much cool stuff. It was back, before you could do that in a standardized kind of way. I guess that's assuming that you don't consider Flash a standardized way, and I don't. So yeah, no, I think this is really, really cool. If you're not familiar with the Wayback Machine, definitely check it out. Like that thing is it's really cool. The Internet Archive is a really cool kind of look at like snapshots, and you can kind of choose from a calendar, even like, hey, when was the last time this was trolled, so to speak. It's actually come in handy for me in the past, like where if you have a site that goes down, and you're actually trying to get to the support number or something like that, I pull up like a cached copy of it or whatnot, and then just use it for that purpose. So it's actually been really helpful. It's embarrassing though when you call somebody and you say, hey, your site's down, and they say they had no idea. So maybe I need to stop dealing though with like Joe Schmoes that are like running websites off of their desktop computer at home. So yeah, it says a lot about me. But yeah, no, this is really cool. I think this is good news, and it will probably occupy a good chunk of my day as I go back and relive the glory days of early.
Yeah. So currently, the emulator that they're using only is compatible with projects back to 2013. So there's still some work there, but that's still a lot of internet culture getting preserved. So
no doubt.
So yeah, so it's pretty important, and we hope that they'll be able to get it in a place where there's more, and they can continue to preserve more. So
awesome.
Well, with that, I think that's all we have for today. So thank you for joining us on this edition of Tech Talk Tuesday. If you want to read up on any of the articles Matt and I discussed on the show today, you can find them in the description below. Yes, below, Matt. You know how this works. If you would like us to answer any of your questions live on the podcast or even offline, go ahead and hit us up on Twitter. Both of our Twitter handles are below. Matt is the Matt Ray, and mine is plain and simple Neal Tardy. Yeah, we'd love to answer any questions that you guys have, like we said, on or offline. And yeah, with that, we'll see you guys next Tuesday.